cleaning and finishing of cast restoration. In this lecture, I'll talk about cleaning of cast restoration and laboratory setting and adjustment. The cast restoration should be cleaned to remove any remnant of investment material and oxide compound. So, when the casting procedure is finished, the casting ring should be taken immediately from the casting machine and thrown under running cold water into a large rubber bowl. This procedure is called quenching. So, quenching is the procedure by which we thrust the hot casting ring under running cold water into a large mixing rubber bowl. The purpose or benefits of this quenching are to annul the alloy to provide better working quality during finishing and disintegration of the hot investment material when it contacts cold water. After quenching, the cast restoration is cleaned from the remnant of investment material by a sharp hand instrument and a toothbrush. Then, the cast restoration is sandblasted to remove the remnant residues of the investment material. What I mean by sandblasting? Sandblast is a machine that throws sand and compressed air on the cast restoration to clean it. After sandblasting of cast restoration, then the cast is placed into a pickling solution. A pickling solution is a solution which is made of 50% hydrochloric acid. And the advantage of pickling are to remove oxide from the surface of the metal and to remove any remnant of investment material. The cast restoration is ready now for finishing. So the first step is to cut the sprue by carborundum separating disc. Sometimes you can use cutting plier or wire cutter, but it's not recommended because they generate stress that could lead to distortion of casting. After that, the excess in the cut area should be removed, recontoured and refined with a stone and a sand disc to establish the proper coronal morphology of the cast restoration. The next step is to check the casting restoration on the die, but prior to that, the inner surface of the cast restoration should be inspected for any remnant of nodules or bubbles of the metal that might interfere with the setting of the cast restoration on the die, and you can use magnification for this purpose. And all these irregularities should be removed using a round bar rotating at high speed. Now the cast restoration is seated on the die. It should sit without any pressure. If the cast restoration is seated with pressure, the die will crack and distort. After complete setting of the cast restoration on the die with the casting on it were transferred to the working cast, and slowly we adjust the interproximal relationship to achieve a slight contact with the adjacent teeth and complete setting of the die into its position on the working cast. So we need a slight contact with the adjacent teeth. After we adjust the inside and the contact area, now the occlusal relationship should be adjusted. incentric and eccentric relationship to relieve any occlusal prematurity. Articulating paper can be used for this purpose. Be certain of a complete setting of the casting, otherwise you might ground out of occlusion. After we finish the adjustment of the cast restoration, now the crown is ready for finishing. All the axial walls of the cast restoration are smoothed by a rubber wear bar. And we should be careful to the margin of the cast restoration. It should be smoothed by placing the wheel bar parallel to the margin. Besides that, the occlusal surface is finished with the use of a small finishing bar. In this video, we show how we clean the cast restoration from the remnant of the investment material and sandblasting the cast restoration with a sandblast. After that, we cutting the sprue from the cast restoration using a separating disc or a carborundum disc. Now we should adjust the margin of the cast restoration. If there is any overhang in the margin, we should adjust them using a rubber wheel. After that, we should seat the cast restoration on the die to check if there is any nodules or interference from the inner side of the cast restoration. We can use a spray indicator. We spray it inside the cast restoration, then we reset the cast restoration on the die very slow and gently to see if there is any high spots. The high spot is this black area, and we should remove this high spot using the carbide bar. After that, we check the fitness of the cast restoration on the die. We can use the indicator spray one more time to make sure that there is no any nodules in the inner side of the cast restoration or any interference. The cast restoration should be set on the die without any pressure. It should be set without any pressure. And not lose its retention. Thank you very much.